time in the performing arts thinking about how other people think. Our donors, our ticket holders, our visitors, and our artists. But what happens when we turn the spotlight around on ourselves? What are we thinking about? Is our dynamic pricing hitting the mark? Do we need to roster extra crew for a load-in? Are the venues clean and the wines pre-poured? Am I ready for that board meeting? All those things that occupy us in the normal course of our business. But what if I told you that nearly 30% of us will also have had thoughts of suicide? In this room of about 2,000, that's 600 of us. 44% of us will be dealing with symptoms of moderate to severe clinical anxiety. This is 10 times higher than the prevalence of anxiety in the general population. And 15% of us will be living with symptoms of moderate to severe depression. This is 5 times higher than in the general population. And nearly 1 in 10 will have attempted suicide. I'm Claire Spencer, and I'm the Chief Executive at Arts Centre Melbourne. And these statistics are our tribe. I'm also the mother of 3 children, and like all of you, families, communities, and relationships make up my day. The statistics that I quoted earlier come from the research report Working in the Australian Entertainment Industry, which was released in 2016. This report put numbers and data to what we anecdotally already knew to be true. Our industry was in distress. But of course, behind data, there's always a story. And I want to share a story with you today, a story about Lee. Lee was a young man who worked in our food and beverage team at Arts Centre Melbourne. He had aspirations to be a producer. In 2015, Lee took his own life. We were all devastated. However well we knew Lee, we felt his loss acutely. How did we not know? How did we miss it? And for me, most importantly, what more could we have done to help Lee? It felt like we were staring into a void. So what did we do? What would you have done? Well, we started with the basics. We assessed our existing mental health and wellbeing policies at Arts Centre Melbourne. We took note of a physically safe workplace. We had an employee assistance program in place. We operated in a caring environment. We had friendships and relationships and people in our lives. But clearly, it wasn't enough. It certainly wasn't enough for Lee. The performing arts is a people-driven business, and if we want our people to engage, to create, to innovate and collaborate, they need to be well. At Arts Centre Melbourne, one of our core values is care more, creating a safe and secure environment for everybody. And we never want this to be tokenistic. But it did feel that what we had in place was reactive rather than proactive and preventative. And on reflection, it seems that as a sector, we are good at picking people up when they fall, but we're not good at stopping them falling in the first place. But what was it that was causing these issues, though? Perhaps the very nature of our work was having an impact. The pressure of absolutely immovable deadlines. Whether the show is ready to go or not, 2,000 people are walking through the door at 8 o'clock. The intense scrutiny we face every day, perhaps. No longer just the domain of the on-stage actor, but also the stress that our technical crews are under, the pressure on marketing and development, and the increasing expectations of all of us to do more with less. Was it our strange working hours? Maybe the difficulties of being on tour and away from family and friends for days, weeks, sometimes months at a time. Maybe that was having an impact. Was it the art itself? Do mental anguish and creativity go hand in hand? We don't believe that they do, but it was certainly a question that we asked. Was the mask of glamour and perfection hiding a broken industry? As a major cultural institution, we take our responsibility as a sector leader very seriously. And with so many issues present, with so much data, how could we do nothing? But we're a performing arts centre. We had a business to run. And was it even possible to change these things without dramatically affecting that business? But surely these weren't issues only impacting Arts Centre Melbourne. I reached out to our resident companies to see if they might be interested in getting involved in a sector-wide project addressing mental health and wellbeing. And to be honest, I was bowled over by the speed of their response. It was literally the fastest response to an email I think I've ever had. It seemed like everyone had similar problems, but they weren't sure what to do either. We'd seen a need, but not necessarily a solution. Existing mental health programs simply weren't hitting the mark. Generic elements such as early nights, regular exercise, and opportunities to engage with friends and family weren't always a comfortable fit with the nature of our work. What we needed was a specifically tailored prevention program that was relevant for our industry, targeting the particular mental health and wellbeing challenges presented by the performing arts. Easier said than done. And to have impact, we needed to have backing to test and trial, to take risks, and maybe to fail. We also had to remove any barriers to participation. It had to be free, embracing the independent sector, small to medium, as well as large commercial organisations. We felt that the only way to start filling that void was to work together. With the support of funding from government bodies, corporate sponsorship, and the commercial sector, and philanthropic support, we conceived the Arts Wellbeing Collective, a consortium of arts and cultural organisations whose shared vision is to improve mental health and wellbeing for performing arts workers. Our objectives are to improve support for arts workers, to collate and share information, to affect industry cultural change, and to improve support networks within and between arts organisations. We scoped a one-year pilot program that ran in the Australian state of Victoria in 2017. Our original aim was to secure 15 member organisations to participate. We ended up with 138. Mindful of the fact that this was new territory for us, remembering that we put on shows and this was not our core business, we worked with leading psychologists, including one who also happened to have an established career as an opera singer, and we gathered representatives from across the sector, including union representation, and we formed an advisory group. We intended to deliver 4 workshops on self-care, time management, mental health literacy, and effective people management. We ended up delivering an additional 10 workshops to try and meet demand. We took the Arts Wellbeing Collective on tour to 6 regional and rural hubs to ensure statewide access to the program. The Arts Wellbeing Collective team, which is one person, the very extraordinary Tracy Margison, who's listening to this talk from Melbourne right now. Good evening, Tracy. She presented at a further 14 industry events and developed online resources on specific topics. All the digital content is open access and readily available internationally. So I encourage you to visit the Arts Wellbeing Collective website and take a look around. During the pilot program, it was heartening to see examples of immediate cultural change across the industry. For example, companies adding in mental health messaging to their production safety briefings. Executive teams including engagement with the Arts Wellbeing Collective resources as a KPI for organisational leaders. Managers providing links from the Arts Wellbeing Collective website to team members to support their own personal development. Companies reporting that their team members were using new language to describe their work challenges, acknowledging the role of mental health and well-being in the workplace. And vitally, this is so important, we saw mental health conversations start to happen. In an example at Arts Centre Melbourne, a team member commented to his manager that he was just okay. The manager asked him about mental health and started a conversation. He then proceeded to help negotiate changes to his roster in order that he could seek professional help. And as we raised the profile of mental health and wellbeing issues, we saw a 15% increase in calls to our employee assistance program helpline. People were seeking help. We knew that we were on the right track. The pilot program finished at the end of 2017. The journey had been revealing, exciting, inspiring, some days terrifying. An independent external evaluation stated that the feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and there was a desire for the program to continue and to expand. Wellbeing was firmly on the map, and the conversation had started. But we're a long way from finished, and I suspect in my lifetime we won't finish. The pilot program uncovered a need for improved peer support for mental health conversations, information for young people, particularly in high school and tertiary education, to ensure that best practice starts early. Resources on managing vicarious trauma when performing difficult subject matter. How to manage mental health crisis situations in a curtain up and show must go on culture. Addressing creative identity, where someone's creative and artistic output is intrinsically linked to who they are as a person and the risk that this can bring. Skills on how to set up safe rehearsal spaces where creative processes and risk-taking can flourish, and much more. Learnings from the pilot program and recommendations from the evaluation have actively informed the next phase of the Arts Wellbeing Collective. Working with Arts Centre Melbourne's innovation partner, PwC, we developed a 3-year strategy which aims to create long-term positive cultural change across the sector at all levels. The program features 2 streams, both delivered through frequent, practical, face-to-face workshops. One workshop stream will focus on healthy workplaces, covering topics such as managing healthy teams, normalising conversations around mental health and wellbeing, leading by example, and how to deal with the blurred boundaries of work and home. The other stream will focus on healthy individuals, with topics such as managing extreme highs and lows, cultivating resilience, and how to maintain healthy habits during peak times. We will continue to create and disseminate custom-made resources and toolkits. We're currently working in partnership with psychologists and company managers on Toolwell, which is a toolkit focusing on self-care while on the road. We will also prioritise broad-reaching sector initiatives, including the rollout of accredited, tailored mental health first aid to frontline team managers, such as company managers and stage managers, as well as a peer support network to better enable early intervention. While the 3-year plan has been scoped in detail, Arts Centre Melbourne remains absolutely committed to keeping the program flexible, fluid, agile, and responsive. We will continue our rigorous evaluation processes and adjust the program as we go accordingly. We're committed to keeping the program open access. The full program, including organisational membership and attendance at all workshops, is absolutely free of charge to all participants. And we will continue to engage the arts industry at all levels. As in everything we do, the more we partner and collaborate, the stronger this program will be. We've had requests to deliver the program globally, with interest from New Zealand, Canada, and the UK. At this stage, while we continue to test and try, the program will continue to be based in the Australian state of Victoria. We want to ensure that anything we share, nationally or internationally, is targeted, valuable, and effective. In no way am I presenting the Arts Wellbeing Collective as the be-all and end-all solution to the problems of all workers who work in the live performance industry. But we believe that it is a bold and a courageous step towards changing our culture for the better, and courageous collaboration has been key to that. We need to work together for positive change, not because a report says we should or a funder says we should, but because it's the right thing to do. I encourage you all to care for yourselves and your peers so that we can serve our art, so that we can safely create bold and original work and meaningfully engage with our community, so that we can start to eliminate that void. To conclude, I'm going to leave you with one of the many pieces of feedback received from a program participant during the pilot program, which I think succinctly sums up how people responded to the Arts Wellbeing Collective. I quote, "I found yesterday's session little short of earth-shattering and profoundly life-changing. It sounds naive, but the point made about the normalisation of crazy behaviours in this industry really came home to me. I've been working in this industry since I was an 18-year-old actor. I've never worked in any other industry, so I have no other reference points for the workaholism, the poor home life balance, ill health, self-medication, romanticisation of the poor, starving artist model, and leaders that are literally running on the marrow of their own bones. I'm inspired not just to change my own framework, but to ensure that my two sons, both keen to work in the arts, are aware of the prevailing industry pitfalls and equipped to have a much more balanced, physically and mentally healthy career. I am so grateful for your compassionate expose of conditions that we have somehow all agreed to stay silent on for fear of losing our big chance. Thank you.